actually the one that we are doing right now. This is so dear to my heart. I must tell you that Chinese people, not all, but some, that are working cause with the big wigs in ZANU-PF have ruined Zimbabwe. And that's the conversation we are having tonight. I want you to come through so that we discuss. And I must tell you that I believe, and I still stuck to my guns, and I've seen people reacting on social media that Auxillia is deceiving people across the country. Now she launched what she called a family, it's more like a family rehabilitation kind of. And the question is, who have caused the mercy? Who is causing divorce? Is the economy? Is this current government? So if this current government, the country will head in the right direction, because Zimbabweans are going to make sure that at least they choose the right leaders who are doing the work. Right. Okay, so before we get into the details, if it's your first time to come across this channel, please do yourself a favor, subscribe and make sure that you ring the bell so that every time I'm live, you'll be notified immediately. I must tell you that I want to send some shout out to people that just joined us. There's Memory, there's Prince. I want to say shout out to guys and thank you so much for coming through. A lot of people here. Do not forget to like the live so that we push algorithm, inviting everyone to the conversation. It's good evening to you and a happy weekend. I must tell you that when I listened to this interview, I literally cried. Yeah, I've never been hurt. You know, have you ever felt the pain that starts from your feet all the way to the top to your hair? Exactly. You know, and I remember, reacting so badly, even having a conversation with someone on X, because I could not stand. Up to today, I still cannot stand that our people can be seen being beaten, with a shambuk by Chinese people in the country. And no one does anything about it. The last time we remember, we covered a story of a Chinese woman that had was hidden a very dangerous chemical called cyanide in Bulawayo. And she made it very clear that you can't do nothing to me because I'm connected to politicians. So this is one of the reasons why we are in this quagmire. And I want us Zimbabweans to have a heavy conversation tonight. Tell me where you guys are watching us from. Please drop your location. Very important as we move on tonight. Do you also know that the president is on record that the 3 billion begging power and 3 billion is still empty? So he's asking for help. I think you saw recently that there's a country that actually donated some grain to us. So he said the 3 billion begging power that he's moving around with for help is still empty. But which makes me laugh and say, the last time I checked, there was 35 billion that was donated towards compensating white farmers, right? And I also remember last time there was another loan that was taken for 3 billion into the Mutapa investment fund, and 1.6 billion went out of that account, and based on the news that were reported by the news day, and we are still begging. With all the minerals that we have in the country, we are still moving around begging for food. It doesn't make sense. It really does not make sense to me. So for those who didn't know that, I want to say shout out to Farai. I have got so much respect. Honestly, when I listened to Farai, I was like, wow, we still actually have many who have integrity. I know we've got a number in Zimbabwe, but to me, he came out being the most incredible guy ever. To be able to stand firm and defend the rights of our Zimbabwean people. Some are being chased out of their homes to accommodate Chinese people. Right? Don't forget the Mnangagwa story, that people are still bleeding today, still with trauma as we speak, and they will never get the healing that they need. It's like we just being a nation that has to suffer, to the benefit of certain people that have their own countries. I can tell you, China is a very beautiful country. China is doing incredibly well as far as the economy is concerned. China have strict laws, especially as far as corruption is concerned. But they have the nerve, some of them, to come to Zimbabwe and do their corrupt activities, working in courts with the ZANU-PF bigwigs. The most foolish men ever and women. Any person who's working Chinese, looting our minerals, is the most foolish person who is unpatriotic, because any patriotic Zimbabwean should be protecting the leaders of our nation. So we're going to be listening to Farai. This interview will blow your mind. And it will anger you. You're going to be so angry. I used to hear stuff, when you hear things and you just hear kind of bits and pieces of things there, or something is happening on the other corner, or the other things happening maybe in Gweru or Shuruk, whatever the case may be. I remember the family I had that they actually vakadhirikirwa. And remember the time that the school also again chakadhirikira vana vari muclassroom in Kwekwe, if I can remember. You remember the story? All right, so now you need to listen to what's going on in Zimbabwe. What the Chinese people, like I said, not all of them, some of them, right, that have turned to be gods of Zimbabwe. These are gods. I guess that's why the president was very much, shivering when he was having an interview with the Chinese journalist. I could not understand why was he acting like we're not begging China. Yeah, it's a business transaction, so we're not begging. It's we get something and they get something out of from us. So it's a transaction. It's not like we're not desperate at all. No, we're not desperate. So I want you to listen to this interview. This one here, you must sit and relax, chill, because you're going to be heartbroken to hear what China is doing in Zimbabwe. Chinese people, it is sad. But anyway, take a listen, please. Dara, shout out to you, man. Shout out.
Thank you very much and welcome to this.
Thank you, Dara.
Beautiful. Now let's just talk generally, maybe as a way of self-introduction, the work that you do and why you think it's important.
Thank you very much. The work that we do at the Center for Natural Resource Governance, its goal is to defend the rights of communities affected by mining and other extractive industries. That alone tells you a story. When you defend something or someone, it means it's under attack. And we came up with this goal against the background of government turning to mining as the mainstay of the economy, which was a bit of a shift from agriculture, which used to be the mainstay of the economy of Zimbabwe. But we noted that the switch by government to mining came with a lot of baggage that is often not talked about. For example, the issue of land grabbing, where the state is now flexing its muscle and telling the people that the land does not belong to you. Traditional leaders that we knew to be custodians of the land and culture suddenly are turning against their own people and telling them that the land does not belong to you. We are seeing massive displacement of people, sometimes at gunpoint. We are also seeing what we call externalized cost of mining, which the communities must bear. They have to sometimes lose their water sources. They have to let go of what we call the commons, like the grazing land, the forest where they get fruits, where they get firewood, and other needs which they have at the local level, which they are met by this forest. We're also seeing undermining of our cultural rights, where mining is taking place, even the dead are not being spared. They're digging up graves, exhuming them, reburying them. When we bury our loved ones in Zimbabwe, we wait for each other, we gather as a family, we mourn, we grieve. But when they exhume, it's an excavator and a driver, and a big 3 or 4 people. And that is traumatizing the communities. And it's against that background that we are saying mining is now undermining development. Mining, from the way the government is presenting it and the way the grassroots communities are seeing it, there is a contradiction. And our work is a call to dialogue to say, as Zimbabweans, we are blessed with vast mineral resources, over 60 of them. But if we don't engage with one another, that's where we begin to say we are a resource-scarce people, where abundance of natural resources bring pain, death, and destruction, and even social dislocation. Like I said, traditional leaders are now turning against their own people because some of them receive a bribe, and now they start telling their people, you must get away and allow the
So Fly, when we have a conversation, it is important not to keep it in the abstract. To say there's certain people and certain. I think it is important to actually give a case study because you are in that space and you have had to intervene in some spaces. So I would kindly ask you to be able to point out what communities so far or what areas have you found that you have had to assist or that you have had to have dialogue so that you have this cohesion or this talk among communities for a better way of exploring these resources?
Well, the first was the Mnangagwa case where the diamonds were discovered and of course the community was uprooted. There was a lot of violence, about 1,300 families were forced off their land. Also, thousands of graves were exhumed. We have been on the ground, first to investigate what's really going on and talking to the community, the traditional leaders, the politicians, and the mining companies as well. So you find that the people want to engage, but sometimes the companies, because they are benefiting from this asymmetrical power balance, to say to them, come and let's have a round table with all the stakeholders, it's not been easy. We also have the case of Dinde in Matebele land, where a Chinese company called Bifa Investment arrived there around 2019 and began to peg in people's fields, and it unsettled the community, and we had to go in there. We had to rope in Parliament to come because the community was also disputing the environmental impact assessment process, that we did not participate in this thing. We were only called to a meeting and we signed the attendance registers, but we did not say, go ahead with the project. So again, we had to intervene to protect the community. We are happy that the Dinde community is still on their land, but the pressure to displace them is still coming. These are only few. We have Premier Estate in Mutare again, where we had to be called by the community because a Chinese company is demolishing, even hills are disappearing. They are blasting, sometimes even at midnight. And imagine someone is sleeping about 100 meters from the top of the mountain. It's 1 a.m. There is a blast. Even the livestock, they've not been spared. They will be running away to kilometers further away from where they used to graze because they're afraid of the blasting. So there are hundreds of other communities that I can talk about, but this is just a snippet of what's going on.
Well, amazing. In Matebele, what mineral is there?
It's coal. And they wanted to mine coal and also set up a thermal power station in that community.
This is sometimes placed you crosshairs with government. And at some point, government accused you of trying to carry favor with the Americans, especially around the diamond aspect. You were labeled a state enemy. Let's talk about that.
Yes, I was arrested in 2010 after investigating the human rights abuses that took place in Mnangagwa. It was a very painful moment to me as an individual because the research took me to mortuaries where I saw a lot of dead, bodies. I spoke to people with horrific injuries, dog bites. I had stories of people that were arrested by guards, hands were tied in the back, dogs were set on them. Some even died during those attacks. Now, when I do this work, I don't even think of another country or America or European Union or whatsoever you can think about. I think about a Zimbabwean brother. I think about those women that spoke to me shedding tears about what had happened to them. I think about those families that I visited who are mourning their loved ones. So those who seek to cast aspersions by giving me a tag that this is Western sponsored, I think they're just unfortunate people. But our work is validated by the communities that we serve. So if you go to Marange, they appreciate that the work that we did slowed down the violence, because the Kimberley process had to come and to engage the Zimbabwe government. At one time, Zimbabwe was stopped from exporting diamonds until they attended to the human rights violations in Marange. So I really think that we served people from slaughter. We slowed down the abuses. They are still happening even today. But I really feel that many people, including those in the government, appreciate the work that we did to bring these issues to light.
But why would a government be unhappy when you are bringing such issues to their attention for their action? Are they complicit in this? Are they beneficiaries in your investigation?
Yes, I think that is the problem we are having, because ordinarily we should be an ally of the government in addressing these people. I'm not a politician. I've never sought to be voted by anyone. It is their people that we are talking about. So the problem we now have is that you have some ruling elites who have arrived. When I say they've arrived, I mean they have everything they want. And the minerals is theirs. So they see anyone who wants to benefit from those minerals as a thief, who want to steal from them. So the use of torture is used to inflict maximum harm as a deterrent, that if somebody is tortured, they call it deflating the tires, whereby people are forced to sit and they beat under the feet until a person cannot walk. There are some people with power, be it security, military, political, who feel the diamonds belong to them as individuals. And
not
so,
to the nation.
Not to the nation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they use ruthless tactics, which a normal government would not do that. But the other problem is also that when the diamonds were being extracted by the ordinary Zimbabweans, there was a flow of money in the nation. There was a liquidity in the market. The money was felt by every Zimbabwean, wherever you are. Even if you are in Bobi, you would feel the power of Marange diamonds. But the moment the government moved in 2009 and said the diamonds are now under companies, that's when the diamond wealth dried up. And the little we had was in 2016 when Mugabe said, we have stolen 15 billion from the Zimbabwean people, from Marange. And after that, again, there's been silence until now. There is a lull. No one's talking about diamonds, but diamond mining is still happening.
What is happening? What is happening behind that silence?
Well, I believe there is a continuation of pillaging, because when you look at, let me talk about the marketing of the diamonds, okay? The man who is marketing or who is buying Zimbabwe's diamonds is called Paolo Pesica. He's an Italian guy based in Dubai. There is no paper trail to explain how that character ended up having monopoly over Zimbabwe's diamonds.
Now you see where our
If you do a Google search, you'll find that he was once arrested in DRC and he spent 12 days in detention there. And there was some charges of arms trafficking. So he's a criminal. And he's the guy who's buying all the diamonds produced by ZNDC and Anjin. And you start to ask the questions, why do we attract such people to access our minerals? You also see that even before this Pesica came on board, We had people like Sempa, a Chinese guy. He was the head of a criminal network called the 88 Queensway Syndicate, which was based in Hong Kong. He had a flying hotel, an aeroplane that he was using as for his business he runs in Africa. The guy is an international criminal who he had more than 9 names and more than 9 passports. He's a guy who was also buying diamonds from Zimbabwe and taking them wherever he was taking them to. So that explains why diamonds have failed to make an impact in our economy.
But government has come to you, and others, and said you're losing the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that Zimbabwe's economy is hinged on mining, and because the government itself or companies in Zimbabwe themselves don't have resources to extract those minerals, that's why they need these partners for this extraction. Does that make sense to you?
Well, no one can speak against the need for investors. We need investors. But I think government needed to differentiate between what the local people can extract. The difference that mining can make is determined by the amount of profits that remain in the country. So in the case of Marange, for example, there is no need for Zimbabwe to engage a Chinese to come and do chikorokosa in Marange. Right. Yeah. If our people are able to dig those diamonds with picks and shovels, the money circulates locally. There's no need to stop them or to use violence to keep them out. If you want Zimbabwe's economy, even the zig, to shape up, just open Marange for 1 week to the local people and you see what will happen. There will be massive circulation of money.
But is that how minerals are managed? I mean, the world over, I've not seen people doing such kind of mining that anyone can start mining diamond.
No, it's greed that gives you that perspective of people who say when they find these diamonds, they say it belongs to us. Ghana, it's in terms of gold, they have allowed artisanal miners to mine gold. You put up a mechanism where they sell the gold to the state. Zimbabwe itself, in 2007, when Gideon Gono was the Reserve Bank governor, he set up a facility where the MMCZ used to go to Marange, not to arrest anyone, not to fight with anyone, but to buy diamonds from artisanal miners. That's how Gono managed to estimate that Zimbabwe was losing about 1.2 billion per month. How did he come with that estimation? It's because MMCZ was buying diamonds from artisanal miners. So there is nothing unethical or criminal about formalizing artisanal mining in diamond sector. In 2012, Zimbabwe is a member of the Kimberley process, by the way. When the United States was chairing the Kimberley process, there was what is called the Washington Diagnostic Mechanism on artisanal mining. It was to formalize artisanal mining and to help governments to come up with laws and mechanisms to make sure that instead of killing their own people and torturing their own people, they can give them some legal documents to formalize their access to diamonds.
So, just a few weeks ago, government announced in its during cabinet briefing that it is going to stop alluvial mining. Before we go to that announcement, let's talk about how deep or how bad is alluvial mining affecting Zimbabwe's environment.
It's terrible and it's scary. If anyone is not scared about the environmental Armageddon that is unfolding in Zimbabwe, they are simply not paying attention. But when you look at Auxillia River in Mutare today, it's now muddy. because there are some Chinese who are mining upstream, and they don't care about the environment. They just offload their mud into the river, and it goes like that. Upstream around the Premier, there is also both our local Makorokoza, then there are the Chinese Makorokoza who are also mining in the same stream. You go to Shurugwi, it's another area where there is environmental carnage. The Boterekwa mountain range is fast disappearing. So the ban on alluvial gold mining along rivers, well, I still feel that the government needed to engage the stakeholders so that the ban is not just an announcement. If they really want enforcement of that ban, there is need to engage and say, what shall we do? Above all things, all those things must be put into law. You don't go to court with a cabinet decision. You go to court because a law has been violated. So there is a need to incorporate those changes into the Mines and Minerals Act and the EMA Act of 2002 and ensure that the ban is effective at law. Otherwise, it becomes just a political statement.
I was in Shurugwi and we'll just basically show some of those images from along the river in Shurugwi. And miners there who were practicing alluvial mine showed us that there was mercury in that water. Even the Environmental Management Agency, they decried the erosion and the degradation that was happening along that river. But to them, whilst they are aware of that, they can't act because of political interference. Now, in your experience, have you seen or come across this political interference, and how big is it?
That's the elephant in the living room when we talk about safeguarding the environment. I believe EMA is well equipped with the right people who have the knowledge, but their work is being impeded because whilst people see the Chinese, doing all those things, the reality is that there are some powerful politicians who are shareholders in those Chinese entities. So when they see those companies which are violating and destroying nature, to them, there's no longer distinction between government and those corporations, because the same person who is benefiting from that criminal act is probably the same person you're going to see sitting in the government office who is responsible for ensuring that those things are stopped. So you've got state-embedded actors who use their power to undermine the law that they are supposed to protect and uphold. And as a result, the EMA people now fear that they may lose their jobs if they are to enforce the law. In some extreme cases, I think they may even fear for their lives, depending with how big is that investment. So I think most of them have resigned, and we've come across, we talk with them because we are in the same sector, where we sometimes go and say, why are you silent about this thing that is happening there? And sometimes they tell us that there's nothing we can do, our hands are tied, but if you make noise, you people, maybe it can help us to engage and say, look what people are saying, what CSOs are talking about.
This is one of the reasons why I brought this interview here, because I wanted you guys to start speaking about it. The thing is, Zimbabweans, is we hear something and we just kind of brush it and we let it go. This issue is a very serious issue that you will see with time, that we are going to visit the very same issues and be able to get our money back from these people that are looting and stealing. Because honestly, I can't even believe that in a country that is so poor like that, show me any Zimbabwean who can get to China and just begin to peg stuff. Show me one Zimbabwean who can fly to China and begin to just mine, mining in the space. No one can do it. But Chinese people can do it in Zimbabwe. And when I hear about all these powerful politicians, I'm like, I don't think there's any powerful politician in Zimbabwe. If they were powerful, we wouldn't be in this mess that we are in here. These are the most foolish people. Because powerful people protect the territory. But if you're failing to actually protect a legacy of the nation, listen, guys, we have nothing in Zimbabwe except debts. And these minerals are the only investments that we have. We have nothing. Guys, you and I will pay the debts for these people. They have been borrowing money, and all we're going to do, us and our children will be paying. Don't forget that Kenya erupted violence because of what? Of debts. Because they had to increase taxes in order for them to pay for the debts, and people are like, no way. You are looting and we should pay for you. That's exactly where we are going. So the reason why it's important for us to speak about these issues, they need to know that we are not that dumb. We actually know what's going on in that country. We can see them. And these leaders, be it President Mnangagwa and the children, look at Mchangwa, all the people that are in leadership in Zimbabwe should know that we will visit these issues tomorrow. We're not going to let it slide. It's very important. That's why communication on social media is imperative. Create a ghost account, talk, do something. But when you're not, remember, the only power that we have now is social media. And those that are in Zimbabwe, sometimes it's difficult. You know how it is. How they can risk their lives. Now you wonder why the country tend to be a criminal state. It's a criminal space. Everyone, literally like almost every person who is in this political space is a criminal. Because they are working with criminals. You heard the people they are selling their diamonds are well-known international criminals. But they're their friends. So what do you expect when a person is working with a thug? Are you surprised why now all of a sudden our brothers have turned to be devils? You see, taking people, abduct, torture, it can't be done by a normal person except when you're a criminal. A hardcore criminal. So which means those criminals out there are the ones that are training criminalities in the country. How many times you have seen Chinese people holding guns and be shooting in the country? I've seen a lot of videos circulating on social media. The Chinese people are coming in Zimbabwe with guns to want to shoot the local people to do what they want to do. I've heard last time that people were chased out and that land was given to Chinese people to do as they please. We need to start taking lives. Zimbabweans, we need to start talking. We have to do whatever it takes. Let these people know that we are watching them, that we are seeing, and we are taking everything into account. Let them know we are watching them. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Okay? Do what you can. And I want to say, that's why I said Farai, I want to say shout out to Farai because Farai is so bold. He's so passionate, he loves his work. And here he is trying to educate to say, we are in trouble. Nema China here. We are in trouble. Varongosi amakomba vachenda. Munoziva boterekwa. Boterekwa musa song ya imba ndichimbetere. Who sang that song? Mukoma Sam, who sang the song? You know? Mukoma Sam song, right? We was talking about boterekwa. It was, I mean, these are monuments. These are our traditional, tourism spaces. But we have nothing. Angwa makomba. I see one even they're not covering makomba. We're not benefiting nothing. Vakutora vose makomba. There's one thing that he mentioned that it hurts me the most. I think there's a mineral that he mentioned, maybe you hear it a little bit later on, where he said this mineral used to be sold about 2 years ago in 2022 for 79,000 a ton. Zimbabwe used to sell those minerals 79,000 a ton. Today, Chinese people are buying them for 11,000 a ton. And let me just tell you, and knowing Zimbabweans now, especially these people who are within the parameters of ZANU-PF, who believe in getting what they don't work for. Now they're no longer working. It's not only them, it's their children, and their children's children are being taught to just take. Because my father or your grandfather has got a position in ZANU-PF, or your father has got a position in ZANU-PF, you can just take. Because if you can hear the president's daughter take money from ZEC, what do you expect? The children. Last time I remember Seningam saying that he phoned the president complaining that the sons were taking mines that belonged to other people in the ZANU-PF, these young kids, the youth. And he received a phone call the following day that you need to shut up. From the same family, someone called him. He did not mention the name when he was having an interview with the Trevor Nguve, I'm confusing the two. They don't care. But to what expense? We gonna pay the debt. We have to organize to cover the mess that is. And someone was saying, how are we gonna cover? Because nobody knows to what extent did the Chinese destroy our land. Are you surprised with the interview that the president had, like, you worshipping Chinese? And I must say this, maybe I'm the one, maybe my mind is racing, but I really suspect that when you hear that some of these minerals, I suspect some of these minerals may just go into China to be hidden in China, so they can be sold later on. And because we know what we are dealing with. We're dealing with criminals. So there's a possibility that they just take into China to hide in China. And then they will sell later on. Because they're criminals. They don't believe in work. They believe in taking. They think like they own Zimbabwe. Like they are Zimbabwe. All of us, we are nothing. Except these people in ZANU-PF and their children. And I know that they're going to hear me because they've got their ears everywhere and their eyes everywhere. And I know that. Their ears are here. Some of them are actually here. Or they'll come and watch everything to hear what we are saying. Or your comments, they read. That's why you need to come in and say everything that you want to say respectfully. They need to know what people think. This is wrong. Our people are being chased out. Some being beaten. Some being killed. Just to open a door for a foreigner. Are we under a case or what? Because only when you're under a case is when foreign nationals comes in and take what belongs to you. It's when you're under a curse. Because I read the Bible. That's the only time. It's whatever that you own, foreigners will take because you're cursed. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. I brought this interview for a reason. So it's on record. You must share in your groups. Zimbabweans need to start focusing on important issues. What does it matter about social media or go to These are the most important issues that we all need to take into account. Minerals are our country's investments. We will pay those debts. You and me will pay for them. Because they're taking the debts and they're looting the money. They take the debts and they loot the money. They buy houses. Matanga recently, we spoke about it. Buying 12 properties on a go. Cash is the money they're looting. How much are they earning per month? That's what they do. And we need to put a stop to it. But we have to start talking. When we are quiet, they just think, we don't care. The question is, who is going to close? Makomba Vakasia Ma China. Makomba Kuso, who is going to close them? No one can answer the question. But yes, the information is here. It's there. It's what we can to do with the information that we are hearing now.
You talk mostly about the Chinese. Are they the only miners in this country? Why do you keep mentioning? I haven't heard you mention anyone else except the Chinese.
Well, that's a very good question, actually. We have a report, actually, that is coming out on Chinese investments in Zimbabwe. The reason why I'm talking much about the Chinese is because they now occupy, I think, more than 90% of the investment space in Zimbabwe. So wherever you go around Zimbabwe, there are Chinese who are mining there. And almost 100% of the grievances we get from the communities is against the Chinese. Hence, the purpose of the report that we are doing is trying to understand the Chinese model. What do they stand for? What are they strong at? What are their weaknesses? Of course, we have companies like Zimplats, but which is a completely different model from the Chinese, in that when you look at Zimplats, they show that they understand what corporate social responsibility is. They've built a road, the Monorongezi Road. They've built a town out of nothing.
Are you saying the Chinese are extractive?
Yes. They are very extractivist in nature. And they can't build even houses for their own staff members.
So where do their staff stay?
Some of them, they will stay in, like, if they occupy a place where a mine used to operate. They use sometimes houses of the previous owner. In places like Wange, they have to come sometimes 30, 40 kilometers a day to come to work and go back home. Where they give shelter, the shelter is substandard, such that it's only for the time whilst the mining subsists. But we're talking about a country where we have towns that developed because of mining. They can't invest in education, the Chinese. They can't build schools. They can't build hospitals where they operate. So that's why we have this concern, because when we talk about mining, we must know that we are talking about a depletion of natural capital, a resource, an asset of the country. So there is need to compensate. First, the community that is disturbed by your mining activities, you need to give some public goods. And it's not an act of charity, it's to say, we are making noise against you. We are blowing dust into your homes, which can cause even lung disease. We are bringing mercury, cyanide, and all those things. Hence, we are compensating you by giving you some public goods. And the Chinese are not doing that. They are destroying roads. And when they destroy those roads, they are not even trying to rehabilitate those roads. And that is why Chinese are on the lips of every Zimbabwean, especially those in resource-rich areas.
Chinese are known naturally for being exploiters, and I mean they're known everywhere. Even here in South Africa, they're known. When you work for a Chinese person, you just get peanuts. It's known. They exploit people. It's even worse when the government open a door for them to do as they please. You know, this is why I still believe, and I'm sorry to say this, I still believe, don't think that President Mnangagwa is the right person for this leadership thing. We all know he's not. But I really think keeping him in the office for a day caused a lot of damage in the country, because he really has failed completely. Not only did he fail in terms of corruption, he's even failing to control who comes in and do what and who's going to do what. And to me, it's like, what are we keeping him for? Like, honestly, and I mean it. If he cannot protect the citizens, what is he doing? Because I think we need to start having conversations. For me, I like to simplify stuff. I don't like to, let's not complicate things. This is why I don't like this authoritarian dictatorship nonsense. I believe we can simplify things and really have a conversation and ask, sir, what is it that's going on in the country? That people leave China, first and foremost, to come and mine in the country. Not only they're mining, they're leaving the mess there. And they go back to their country. People are saying the trucks that are leaving Zimbabwe with lithium, you can't. You can't. Diamond, they take and they go. And leave us with nothing except debts that will pay for generations to come. And with nothing. No. We're not going to be sitting down and just watch. We have to start speaking. Having ZANU-PF in that position, it's so costly that even the money they are looting don't even matter at all. This is why sometimes I feel like let them take the money and just go. Let them just go. Because they've costed us so much. Because they are so foolish. They don't even understand how to trade. They don't understand how to trade. They don't understand money. You know, somebody keep on tweeting and say that, if there ever been a country that undermines the dollar is Zimbabwe. The US dollar is powerful. But in Zimbabwe, when you hear millions that are you ask yourself questions. Is this the same dollar that I know? That people work for in America. That people can just take 90 million and go. 87 million and go for nothing. They don't even deliver. That's how we have undermined the money. And people can just take and take and take. Nobody's accountable. Having ZANU-PF is so costly to Zimbabwean people. it is, as beyond words. It is actually a very sad situation, honestly. That's what you see why people no longer care about what we do in the country. And honestly, now I respect SADC. I'm sorry, I respect SADC. Even if I was in SADC's position, I was not going to care at all. Care about foolish people who don't understand how to trade, who don't understand how to respect their own people. Have you ever heard South Africa that they went and removed people to come and open for someone else to come and beat people and you hold a gun against the local people? It will never happen. You know why? They have rules and they have an identity. You know, somebody was saying yesterday that, you know, America is not even as fancy. You see sometimes drug addicts and all, but they've got what they call an American dream. Is they have an identity that they protect. What do we have? What are we known for as Zimbabwean people? What are we known for? Violence, poverty, confusion, foolishness, dirty. They went to China. You saw them last week in China. These people, the people from ZANU-PF, when they were in China, the way they were dressing in China, and you're coming with these minerals. I'm talking about, you guys have diamond, we have gold, and they left China to come. They were clean and pristine. While you were sitting there writing notes to come to loot. We've got minerals. Come to minerals. In Russia, did the same thing. Telling Putin, we've got minerals. What do you have to show? Nothing. You can't even write notes when you get to a meeting. You're just sitting there like you're bored with all the scarves. Absolutely, you're an embarrassment. A shame having ZANU-PF is an embarrassment. No classy. No respect of self. No order. No efficacy. Last week I told you they're having a meeting with the Minister of Information. This is Jefferson Muswere. Jefferson must be younger than me. They were having a meeting, a table. Marketero, marketera. Let me speak in Shona, so you know. You understand how irritated I was. Marketera, zigubu zemazowe, masamba, mafaira. In 2024. China. In 2024. They don't learn nothing. It's just sitting. So stupid. And I don't remember the first lady in which country, man? Sierra Leone. Remember that came out and said that's exactly what was happening in Sierra Leone for decades. They were getting 0.01% from all their minerals that were being looted. Because the people that were in positions were foolish people. They didn't have a clue of what money is. That's what's going on in Zimbabwe. They don't understand money. That's why people keep on looting. Looting. I still say old people must leave and go home. Give other people a chance. Young people who understand the systems and who are current will be able to safeguard our legacy. But hey, these ones, they don't even understand money, I can tell you. They do not understand money. They don't understand money. That's for a fact, because if they understood money, when they hear that 87 million has been given to someone who never deliver, that could freak everyone out. You can't sleep. The fact that people can loot, did you see the level of looting that's going on in the country? In the council, my 11 million are going. Instead of Harare, and they don't remove the dirty. The monies that are being looted will show you that they don't even understand money. I can tell you the facts. They do not understand money. Because if they did, give me 100,000 and see what I can do, US dollars. Just give him $100,000 and see what I can do. So to tell you the truth, these people don't even have a clue of what money is. You see, that's what happens when you don't work for the money. Those who work for the money understand the process and they value every cent because they know how much they sweat for it. Imagine just calling a Chinese person, come and said, okay, we can come here and mine, we give you this much. It's getting into your pocket. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes. Because they have nothing to lose. But to the detriment of an entire nation and the suffering of our people and debts, accumulating debts, and then move around the world and with a begging bow of asking for how much? For 3 billion begging bow in a country that is so rich like that. It is a shame. It is a shame. But anyway, take a listen.
We were talking about, we were basically having this conversation around the resources and their exploitation. We have seen in places like Rishavane, in places even like Shurugu, where there are a lot of resources there. But the communities remain very, very poor. Unlike the Mundurangese situation that you're talking about, we've seen clinics being built, we've seen schools being built. I think at one point I saw a whole primary school that had shoes and uniforms bought for them by the mine as they went to school. Now, what is the case of Zimbabwe? Are we a case to people who are rich, but poverty stricken?
That's the right word, we're cursed.
Well, I think it's a leadership issue, and the leadership at various levels. But at the political level, I think government has failed to come up with a mining vision to say, what do we want to get out of mineral resource endowment? That's why we have such a hall of shame like Marange, where scientists and professors are going to come from all over the world, even for the next 100 years, to study what a resource-cursed community looks like, where billions came out of that community, but there is nothing to show for it. So there is need for government to open dialogue with citizens. The other thing is that Zimbabwe is blessed with mining expertise. We have mining experts who are dominating mining throughout the world. So when it comes to having the right people in the room to say, what do we do to get value from our mining? We don't come second to any country on the African continent. But what is happening now? They chase away the experts, the technocrats, and they appoint politicians. MMCZ is one such a corporation that must be staffed with qualified people, including gemologists, but it's staffed with politicians who don't understand how minerals should be marketed.
Is that a fact though, that it's staffed with politicians?
Yes, it's when I say it's staffed with politicians, I mean political appointments, not necessarily people who are appointed on the basis of their expertise. So if you talk to people who understand the role of MMCs, they will tell you that there are many skills which are missing in that organization. Like I said, they need a gemologist. They need someone, a specialist who understands diamond value chain. And right now, as we speak, Zimbabwe is selling its diamonds to Dubai, dirty diamonds, and I'm talking about things that I know. Dirty diamonds, which sometimes have got soil, and the value, it's very depressed because of the way the diamonds will be looking, the parcels. It only takes Dubai to clean those diamonds, and they appreciate maybe by 50% immediately. They have not yet even cut and polished them. So it takes experts to do that. So number one is that government must allow the experts to do their job and politicians to do their job. But if they conflate the two and bring politicians where experts must be, then we will continue to have these missed opportunities. Right now, we're talking of lithium. Zimbabwe is number one lithium producer on the African continent. But as we speak right now, the Chinese have overmined to a point that there is a marketing glut of lithium in the world. By November 2022, battery-grade lithium was costing $79 per ton. In August 2024, it's now costing about $11,000 per ton. And largely because China is over-extracting lithium, and largely from Zimbabwe. But despite the depressed prices, China has not changed in terms of the volume of production and export to China. So you need technicians, people who think and say, okay, wait a minute. In 2023, the Chinese were taking our lithium for $79 per ton. In 2024, they're taking our lithium for $11,000 per ton.
So is it $79 and $11,000 per ton?
So $79,000 per ton.
Okay.
Now it has gone down by over 80% to $11,000 per ton. So the question is it making business sense for us to continue extracting our lithium at that same level like in 2022 when the market prices were so high? Or we should rather slow down the mining until the market is favorable. A company called Finis in Australia has stopped mining lithium right now because they are saying the market is not favorable. But Zimbabwe, if you go to Forbes border post, you'll find that trucks, 30-ton trucks, are snaking for 10 kilometers or so at some point, taking the lithium to the sea. By the time the lithium appreciates value, maybe back to $79,000 per carat, Zimbabwe has no more lithium in the ground. The lithium is now in China. If you try to go to China and say, sell me battery-grade lithium, they will tell you that it will cost maybe $90,000 per ton. So we are not making business decisions with our minerals. Yes, there may be some 5 or 10 politicians who are pocketing millions of dollars in exchange for mortgaging the lithium to China. But as a nation, the net loss that we are incurring is shocking and horrendous. So we have the skills, but I don't think we have the political will to say, here is what God has blessed our nation with. How can we make the most out of it? How can we make hay whilst the sun is shining? So it will be another missed opportunity very soon. I can tell you that at the rate at which lithium is leaving Zimbabwe, I think it will take about 3 to 5 years. We will start hearing that the lithium is depleted, it's gone.
Well, how do you then balance, Fai, the intention to make profit and to keep the company that is employed or is employing hundreds or thousands of Zimbabweans in lithium mining? How do you balance that to keep it profitable and to keep these people at work, or to slow down operations and shared jobs? How do you balance that impact from the community?
Well, you can't have your cake and eat it. There's always some wins and losses, at various levels of the value chain. But if the government determines that it's not the best time to extract our lithium, then certainly there will be some job losses, but I don't think those job losses are going to stop the Zimbabwean economy. People will still find something else to do. They will not die.
But someone would say that you are speaking from a point of privilege, that your job is not going to be on the line. And someone who is in Pikita right now, whose job might be on the line, does not agree with you. How do you push back on that?
I will tell them that minerals are very finite. They sooner or later, those minerals will be gone and those workers will still be looking for something else to do. So the shocks that come with mining are some of those things whereby there are, a mine can say, we've come to an end, there are no more resources here. So they should expect that to happen, even if they keep their jobs right now. At some point, they're going to lose those jobs. But also, it's important to highlight that the workplace in Zimbabwe, especially in the mining sector, is also something that we need to talk about, because what those workers are earning is very paltry, and it's very unfortunate that it's modern day slavery. In as much as people will say, yes, I've got a job where I go to every day, but the earnings are not comparable to what others are earning, even mining lithium elsewhere. You know?
I mean, these people, these mines are actually opened by the president most of the time. The members of parliament in those areas aren't they aware of these things, that there's modern day slavery and that people are not being paid well?
You know, one thing that we need to fix as Zimbabweans is not to always do everything for the media and for propaganda purposes. The politicians know, but you know, in Zimbabwe, we have this whip system where when parliamentarians go to parliament, their minds are supposed to toe the line of the party that sent them to parliament. So as a result, many parliamentarians know these things. Some of the issues that we bring up, we actually get them from those politicians. Unfortunately, our parliament does not promote representation. It's one element of our legislature that has died. Parliamentarians speaking for their people, they no longer do that. What matters to most of them is to remain in parliament. You know, parliament in Zimbabwe is also a place of employment creation where our legislators find it as a job, you know, where they also earn. That is a problem. Sometimes, even when you raise these issues to parliament, it does not have takers. I'll tell you that we petitioned Parliament on the 17th of November 2023 concerning Premier Estate. The petition was swept under the carpet for some time until we started pushing. Where is our petition? Then we were told to come and respond to the joint committees on environment and on mines. We went there, made the submissions. Then they said, we are calling the Minister of Mines and the EMA people. They were summoned. And they said, we're now going to Mtare. It's now 4 months. They've not yet gone there. And I don't even know whether they would ever go there. And one would be asking, why is Parliament hesitant to go on the ground and see what's really happening?
If it was amending the constitution to extend certain.
You are saying it, not me.
But you know. Now, are you now surprised why there was this Shamangun nonsense that happened last year? It's control. It's China wants to control. They gave you a parliament, and they do as they please because they want to extract your minerals, right? Now you can see it's right. I told you they don't know money because they're foolish. They're stupid. They can't even see they're being abused and used and destroyed, living a debt because most of them are too old. Anyway, they don't care. They don't care. They are looting for their grandchildren. That's what they're thinking. They're thinking that's how you build wealth. You don't build wealth by looting. It's a curse. It is a curse. You don't build wealth by taking the way they're doing. No, wealth you build by working. You teach your children to work, not to give them money. So you see, now it makes a lot of sense now why there was all this Shavangu garbage that we saw last year. Everything is falling apart, being caused by politicians. Sometimes, honestly, I don't think politics will solve our problems. I really think that needs to be dissolved for some time, in my opinion. Because you can't trust anyone anymore. majority of these people have learned systems of corruption. They've learned systems of taking. Like I said, it's across the board. The triple C on its own, and I'm like, if you look at how the kind of corruption that is within the ranks of the city of Harare, Bulawa as well, people don't even have no water, but money is being looted just like that. It is a sad situation, honestly. The Zimbabwean story is very sad. This time, what is required is God to send the right people to just be at the front, and we need to breathe for some time, where we clean up the mess, locking up every thug and every thief in prison, because those people don't even deserve to be in society. They're already contaminated and they will be dangerous. These are the very same people that will be killing others just to sustain their wickedness. So we have to play our cards right. They're dangerous in society, these people. You can hear. It makes sense now. China gave us parliament. China gave us the airport. In exchange of what? Does that parliament work at all? It was all about controlling. So if you can be in parliament and you say truth to power, you must go. But God has a way of exposing people. Now we know everything that's going on. That's, you see, the power of social media. That's what I've told you. Social media is the only weapon that we have in 2024. And we must use it well and thoroughly, making sure that our voices are heard and that we know what's going on. And I keep on repeating the same thing. These people need to know that power can end up any minute, any time from now. It happened during the Mugabe era. What makes them think that won't happen in 2024? It can happen any minute. And the people, and every time I'm praying, I'm like, the day that they're going to make sure every border and every airport is locked up. And nobody should leave the country. People need to be held to account for all the wrong that they've done. That's my prayer for that day. When it comes, we cannot carry on like this. We cannot carry on like this. It's not working. To leave, to see that quit, I know. Some of them are getting old. No. And we must pay for their debt that they've created with their friends. No. We're not going to agree. We'll take our money back to pay for the debts that you have left. All these debts. No one, people need to know they're not smart. You can pay people all you want. But one day is one day. One day is one day. Gavarisha dambura musungo. Right? Gavarisha dambura musungo. You guys are not smart. Politics, it's a shame. It's a shame. What do you fika masu to do what? Just screaming, apana, apana, apana. Apana. You can't even build a decent toilet. Because toilet, public toilet in Harare, you know that toilet, you can go in, it can flush for itself, or you can get in there, it's clean, it's top class. None. None. All these years, you could not build a toilet. Proper toilet. In town, Marare Muyakunzi. Pane toilet, my toilets are kwagati, pane mo yakati. I'm talking about real malls, good as my shops, I'm not just good time sarangwa. Real malls that you build, real malls. You can't do it. But all you are doing is looting and looting, hoping that you are getting richer. While you are cursing yourself and your children, you're not getting richer, you are getting poorer because you're going to lose everything the same way that you got it. The way you got it is the way that you're going to lose it. You need to know it must be heard by any Zimbabwean person. The same way you got the stuff that you have is the very same way that you're going to lose those stuff. Because it did not work for them. You just stole what belongs to the state and belong to the people. Minerals belong to the Zimbabwean people. It doesn't belong to you and your friends and your children. It doesn't. It belongs to the people. It's a state investment. There's Zimbabwe. Today our kids can't go to school because they don't have school fees. And you guys are giving your friends in China. You guys should be ashamed of yourself. These people, I've never seen anyone like a pusa like this. You don't even love yourself to at least give yourself a bit of some dignity. No wonder why no one one respects you wherever you go. Nobody respects you people. You have proved kuti mafungiro enyu kudhakwa sheko. You guys are crazy. Honestly.
But you have those problems where our parliamentarians are very quick when it comes to political issues. But when it comes to representing their people, and I can tell you that people are going to die at Premier Estate. They're going to die because of mercury. Someone is going to be crushed by those fly rocks coming from blasting. And if Parliament does not see that as something that is urgent and part of their mandate, then I don't know what qualifies.
Tell us what's happening. What are they mining at Premier Mercury?
Gold. They're mining gold. And that gold is not even benefiting this country because they have a room where they store the gold there. Even the mine manager, a black Zimbabwean, is not allowed in that room. It's only the Chinese. So what they submit to Fidelity for their retainer, no one really knows how much gold did they produce because Zimbabweans are not allowed into the room where the gold is processed.
In our own country.
In our own country.
And the Chinese are the ones with control of our gold.
Absolutely, absolutely. And only 2 weeks ago, Chinese were arrested in Zambia with 29.9 kilograms of gold from Zimbabwe and about 200,000 United States dollars. This country is a crime scene because that one was captured in Lithium Square, 6 point something gold at the airport.
In the wrong bag.
Yeah, in the wrong bag. Now think, how many are successfully taking the gold out of the country? And how much difference would that gold mean if the royalties, everything that is due to the government is paid?
And the country, ZIG, is only supported by 1 ton of gold?
I don't even know whether that 1 ton is still there, but that is our challenge where we are saying we want to strengthen our currency with gold, and at the same time, we are hemorrhaging. The gold is flying in all directions, and those who are caught smuggling the gold are let scot-free. It's only the unfortunate Makorogoza. I remember a guy who was caught with the half a gram and he was sentenced to jail for 5 years. In the Squire, 6 kilograms, she was fined some funny amount of money. So I don't think we are serious in terms of ensuring that gold is sacred. And if a person wants to smuggle gold, they must think twice, thrice before they do it. I don't think there is that enough political message that we don't tolerate smuggling. If anything, the case of Ingrid Squire demonstrates massive impunity for smugglers.
I mean, this is a matter that we've never had a serious discussion here around the free talk into our partnership, the Frederick Newman Foundation, basically because we have focused on issues around political power and stuff like that. But the issues that you talk about, Farai, bring, said reading to Zimbabwe. Now, we are always receiving donations. We are in a drought at the moment, the El Nino induced drought, and we're throwing a begging barrel.
Yeah, for 3 billion.
Yet we have so much mineral resource. Is this not the time that we're supposed to be leveraging it to feed our people?
Absolutely, and it's very, very unfortunate. Zimbabwe is a wealthy country. I personally believe that annually we are losing in excess of 20 billion US dollars in terms of minerals that are smuggled, outright smuggling, minerals that are undeclared, and other criminal activities involving the exploitation of our minerals. And the paltry budget that Zimbabwe has of about 4-point-something billion annually does not do justice to the revenue potential of government if all our minerals are properly accounted for. And I feel that sometimes the Zimbabwe Republic Police does a very good job, but they're let down sometimes by the judiciary. That when they arrest people and those people go to court, it's the courts which are letting those people scot-free. Sometimes there is a lot of political interference when criminals have been arrested in Zimbabwe. I remember that Israeli guy who flew into Harare, I think it was called Ishmael Klein. He flew into Harare around 11 a.m. 1 p.m. He was trying to fly out with more than 1,300 pieces of diamonds. The police did their job. The law enforcement officers at the airport, they did their job. But when they handed over that criminal to the courts, the prosecutor's office, the government ended up saying, no, it's fine. You only need a permit to take the diamonds out. Yeah. But where did he get those diamonds from? Nobody wanted to deepen that knowledge. Why? He was probably acting in concert with some untouchables of Zimbabwe. So our country has got so many untouchables who say, to them, independence means the freedom to plunder your country. But you juxtapose that with the poverty in the country, the misery that the Zimbabwean people, I think of people in rural Matebeleland. There are schools which have no roof. There are women who are walking about 15 kilometers to fetch water, a bucket of water. So the needs of our country versus the looting that is happening do not speak to each other. We need to do things differently.
I'm forced to take the blame here because I think the media, we need also to be able to highlight these things and to talk to these things. Because as you sit here talking to me, I start to think about Cisco still, how a whole hotel around Redcliffe was built out of Cisco steel, how a whole town, homes in Rutendo, in Toad, a whole stadium was built by Cisco steel, the existence of Cisco steel.
Yes.
There was a whole economy that came out of there. If you go into Kwekwe, you find that the Zimasco, which used to be called Union Carbide, the Kwekwe Polytechnic as a college was built by that mining company. Manunwe High School was started by that mining company, and homes in Kwekwe that people live today. And then you start asking yourself, what happened? What happened? Because the mines were breathing life to communities. Right now, we don't see the light.
Absolutely, and it's heartbreaking. I share the pain and the sorrow. Look at Wange. They also had a football team which for many years was in the Premier League in Zimbabwe. Brought entertainment to the colliery, brought pride to the local people. You had Shabani, and all those things. It shows that mining can be a profitable enterprise, can also have linkages with other sectors of the local economy, including agriculture, manufacturing, sport, banking, and all those other things. But currently, the model that I've seen in Zimbabwe is simply extractivist. Get the mineral out, run away to China with that mineral. There is no master plan. Before you extract a mineral, you need a master plan. A master plan is to say, we have massive deposits of chrome in this area. When we mine this chrome, how are we going to ensure that this chrome is going to be the beginning of an economy, a localized economy? You start building homes for your staff. They have families. There's need for a school for the children. They get sick. There is need for a hospital, a clinic. There is need for livelihoods. Soon the baker is going to come and say, we want to supply bread for these people. Those who make clothing, they want to supply clothing. All this come in a master plan. But there's no master plan because there's no dialogue. Mining is imposed on the community. There's no debate with the local people. What are your priorities? How can we make you part of what we are going to do? That is not happening. That's why the Zisco Steel story you've talked about is not being replicated by the current mining projects that are mushrooming in the country.
In fact, they bring their own pencils
and their toothpicks and everything. So yeah.
Amazing. I want to thank you very much, Farai, for having this conversation with us here on the Free Talk.
I also want to thank Farai, honestly, for being so gracious. And, I used to hear all these things, but I didn't have all the nitty-gritties. But him explain, I now actually get to understand how intense this thing is. It's a big deal. And my heart, I was literally crying when I listened to this interview. I was crying. I was like, God, what have you done? Are we under a case? What did we do to deserve this? Guys, people to leave China to come and take right in front of our eyes. And all we can do is be beaten up, tortured. Some of our people are being killed for simply protecting China. To me, it doesn't make sense. Who are these people? The ones in ZANU-PF, who are they? Are these human beings, or there must be something going on there? Because honestly, there's no normal person who can do something like that. Who doesn't care about the people? The people are just there to be used. I cannot forget the day ZANU-PF had a rally. And after the rally, our people were sitting on top of the bus. I don't remember. That picture can never leave my mind. Every time I think about it, I'm like, how do you treat a human being like that? What if that bus, for some reason, something happens? All of them are going to die. They don't care. But Chinese, yes, when Chinese come here, you heard the interview of the president recently. How he was worshipping the Chinese. There is nothing like the failure to understand how much you are worthy as a person. The Zimbabwean people who should be commanding respect across the world because of our minerals. But we are the most humiliated people across the world. You mentioned Zimbabwe, you're like you are nothing. Yesterday, we had a bit of a chat with some people, and I eventually explained because I knew them. So one of my brother tweeted and say he respects Chinese work ethic. That's what he wrote. Remember the previous day I'd listened to this interview, and in me I was very much said I don't see no work ethic with around Chinese. Chinese are known for exploiting people. It's known. Remember they were chased out of Rwanda. Kagame chased them out. Some of them when they were abusing the Rwandans. And me, I'm saying, in a Zimbabwean context, we would expect some of those people that we see beating up our brothers today. I mean, this is a father with children at home, with a wife. But these young boys from China will be talking to them like they're talking to animals. You know why? Because they're getting the powers from fools in ZANU-PF, who worships them like they're gods. Now they're treating our people like nothing. And we should command respect. But we cannot. So while we have that conversation with work ethic, I was like, no, I don't see any work ethic with Chinese. Do you know, at that moment I realized that we are very much, we look at our situation from a surface point. You can't expect work ethic from Zimbabweans in Zimbabwe. And I'm going to explain to you why. And I know there are some who still have yes, I get that. But we must understand, majority of our people have been subjugated for far too long. With that being said, they don't even know when you're talking about ethics. Ethics is, how would you talk about ethics when I'm suffering to feed my kids? How many times I tell people every time when I talk to women, and men, most of the times I tell them, and I talk to them all the time, and I say to them, listen, if we want to be honest here, just a bit. If we want to be honest, when we look at Zimbabwean people, women from Zimbabwe, right? Women from Zimbabwe are a bit masculine because of poverty. And the Zimbabwean men need to understand that point. And when I'm saying this, and I mean it, you know, when you put a Zimbabwean woman here, and I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying majority of our people, if you put a Zimbabwean woman and you put a South African woman, there's a difference. And you see me, I'm sitting right now, and I'm talking about Zimbabwe because my heart is bleeding. South Africans are drinking in the bar, and they're dancing as we speak. Okay, I can go and dance if I want to, but I don't, because I don't drink alcohol, so I don't care. But I'm saying, you need to understand the psychology that's going on in the Zimbabwean point. Women are suffering. People don't get this point. They don't get it. Women, the last time I checked during this, women used to do whatever they're doing, the little things, but men would be working. But in 2024, it doesn't help. Women have to help men because men are struggling. Today, most men have lost their dignity. They've been stripped of their leadership anointing because of politicians and wickedness. So until that is restored, you can't say a Zimbabwean person is not ethical. That's nonsense. How do you expect to be ethical in a country that is so rotten like this from the top? But how can you say Chinese people are ethical? How can they not be ethical? Guys, if I have to meet a person who's supposed to give me $1 billion, I don't care if I slept at 4, I'm going to be awake at 6 a.m. And shower, cold shower, to make sure my eyes are woke to go and meet a billionaire to get the money. Chinese people, how can they not? When they know that they are looting minerals, millions, to build generations in their own homes. These people are looting money to build for generations. You need to use your brain. You cannot say to a Zimbabwean person who is being beaten up, tortured, to say you are not ethical. Do you know what you're talking about? We don't think. We do not think. Give Zimbabweans what they need, then you can talk of ethics. Let them choose their own leaders, and then I can guarantee you they will be ethical. But if a father has to suffer to feed their children, to suffer to go to work, some are walking distances. Did you see how crime has been in Zimbabwe? Did you see how many men you are seeing being humiliated, stealing in Zimbabwe? Duping people. It's poverty. And most of them, it doesn't mean that if they had jobs, they wouldn't be doing criminal activities today. So expecting those people to be ethical, you are sick in your head. Than saying we need to do with a Chinese who are looting our minerals and take away the livelihood of our people. Then we can have a conversation. Then we can talk of ethics. As long as ZANU-PF is doing what he's doing, China, don't tell me about ethics. Sometimes there's still people being accused of stealing, and my heart bleeds. Because honestly, if we were choosing our own leaders like what other countries are doing, and taking care of our minerals today, we'll be commanding respect. Nobody was going to care about all these countries that are busy abusing us, call people international orphans. But you can't talk about that now, considering that ZANU-PF is sold. The most unpatriotic people are in ZANU-PF. Have sold the country to the Chinese people. Do you remember the song that used to be sang by people? China. Jesus Christ. Now China they're actually chasing Zimbabweans out of their spaces. That's how bad it is. You can hear. That's why I said I want you to listen so that when you walk out, when you walk wherever you are, you must remember that you are a slave to Chinese people. We are their slaves. I do not care what someone is going to tell me. No. As long as my brother is a slave, I'm a slave. As long as there's still people out there who are being chased out of their land, they are my people. Their pain is my pain. I am a Chinese slavery. I am a slave to Chinese people, so I will stand firm and call out these people. If not, I can even ask people to write a letter to China. We are enslaved by China in our own country. In our own country. China, with all the riches that they have, they're taking almost from, no, I just can't even begin to find them. I cannot. I can't. You wonder why they don't respect us. How can they? Seeing us being sold out with our own brothers, our own sisters, our own fathers. Like for us as children, our own fathers. You know, I was thinking during the day, I'm like, you know, the situation in Zimbabwe is like, it's like a woman who get married with their children, right? I want to simplify it. A woman who gets married with their children, she's getting married to a man with his children, right? She'll come with her kids for another man, and then those children, she begin to abuse the kids for this man who is the father who's working for that family to take care of their children for another man. That's what's happening in Zimbabwe. Easy to understand. It's sad. ZANU-PF is full of fools. Fools! But masingafunge. They don't think about the consequences of their actions. No wonder why most of them are just illiterates. They don't have a clue. They don't have I don't even know what they're doing there. That's why they're always employing illiterate people. You saw it when they were interviewing the high court judges who could not even talk, kind of answer a simple question. Even using a computer. Not only were they hired, they were bought brand new cars. Maybe who was buying? Maybe the Chinese people. So that they can play and dance the way they want in the country. Now it can actually show you who's controlling everything. It's right here. Did you hear recently when that man, what's his name, man, the one from the Parliament, and say when he was saying that yeah, China now wants to have to build the road, no, not the roads, man. There's something that they want to build, no, the grounds for football. China again. Everything China. With the people that we have, Zimbabweans, our box officers are the most smartest people. They are changing lives across the world. They're doing incredible work. Oh no, they're not important. They want to work with the Chinese so they can control. They loot in peace. They keep on looting until they leave us with nothing except debts. We will bleed to death, paying the debts that ZANU-PF will live in that place. But God knows what. We'll go after every house that they own to pay the debt. They've been looting to pay back the debt. I don't care what they're saying. They can hear me. If you think whatever you are, you can say we can kill you. You can kill me all you want. But at the end of the day, you will pay for your evil works. Killing me does not resolve the issue because your children are still going to be alive. And they'll pay for the sins of their fathers. So killing me is not even, I'm even trying to help you to say, stop it now. At least partially produce it. Because what's going to come for you? Anyway, you can't kill me because you're not the one that brought me here. Are you God? You're not God. I'm just telling you that if that's what's going on in your heads, and I know most of you're busy, whatever you're doing there, if you're thinking, you're simply wasting your time. Because that does not resolve the fact that you're going to pay for your sins, for making Zimbabweans suffer. We have what it takes to build that country. The right people are there to lead. You do not want. All you want is subjugator people, enslaving your own brothers. It is a shame. You are an embarrassment. No wonder why people don't respect you. And now it makes a lot of sense. You don't deserve no respect at all because you do not respect yourselves. So today, I was studying the Bible. For some reason, I don't know why God sent me to the book of Nehemiah. And I was reading the book of Nehemiah. It was interesting because Nehemiah is asking questions. He's asking about those that were in exile. You see, like the very same that we are going through right now, he's asking, how is everyone doing? It's like people asking, how are the Zimbabweans doing in South Africa, in Malawi, in Zambia, in Congo, in America, in Australia, well, across the world. And he's hearing that, no, people are still suffering. And he began to pray to God. I want to read to you what he said to God. He said to God, God, the God of the heavens, the great and awesome God, loyal to his covenant, and faithful to those who love him and obey his commandments. Look at me. Listen to me. Pay attention to this prayer of your servant that I am praying day and night in intercession for your servants. The people, that time I was praying for the people of Israel, and me, I'm praying for the people of Zimbabwe. You know, confessing the sins of our people, right? And I'm including myself. And I, my ancestors, and those who have sinned against you. These are the prayers that we need to pray to God. If we have sinned against him, you need to forgive us. We want to rebuild again. He's telling God, we want to rebuild the walls. And God heard the prayer, and he did. Freed the Israelites. And they went back and they built the walls. That's what we need. We need to ask God to forgive our sins. If there's any, there are sins, of course, because people have been killed. Remember, God cursed the land. It's not about the person, it's the land. Once you kill innocent people, their blood speaks. And then God cursed the land. And when God cursed the land, we all suffer. It's not a one person thing. We. When a family is cursed, it doesn't matter if one person have killed. That spirit can attack the entire family. So if it's a nation, the spirit is going to come after the nation, not the person, the nation. So the nation is cursed because of the blood of innocent people that have been murdered by people in ZANU-PF. And now we ask God to forgive our sins so that we can start again. That's what's needed in Zimbabwe. To restart. May God bless you and may God bless Zimbabwe. Pray for each other and believe in one another. Don't worry, we are very close to the finishing line. We are not going to give up easily. This time, it's death or the motherland. It's ending now. We are not retreating. We are standing firm to defend the legacy of our nation. Zimbabwe is not for ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF do not have title deeds to this country. Zimbabwe belongs to every Zimbabwean. For that reason, we will stand firm. Make sure that we get the freedom that we need. I love you and God bless you all. Bye for now.